And with that, welcome into KC Sports Tonight streaming edition. Jared Koller here with Neal Jones, who's live, if you're watching this live, outside the Truman Sports Complex on the Arrowhead side. There's a Royals game against the Yankees coming up here in a little bit, but we start talking Chiefs, as we like to do here on this program. Neal, you were at practice today. You were talking to the players today. I was out there this morning as well. We got to start with the big story, and that is Travis Kelce. The fact that he just, anytime he talks to the media, that is the big story. What are your top takeaways from the words that one number 87 said today?
Well, first things first, can we agree that not in football terms, but in terms of star power worldwide, overall star power, Travis Kelce's I think ahead of Patrick Mahomes. I think Mahomes is certainly respected by football fans, but I think because of his relationship with Taylor Swift, because he hosted Saturday Night Live, because he's such a handsome guy and he's single, I think that he has become
he's not single.
A bigger star. The podcast...
Let the record show, Neal.
He is single. No. That is a generational thing. Anybody under 60 thinks that if you're, look, in my opinion, if you're not engaged, not married, you're single. Okay? Ooh. He's single. He's not married. He doesn't have to, if he breaks up with somebody or somebody breaks up with him, they don't have to call lawyers. Okay. No lawyers. This doesn't go before a judge or anything. But the fact is, he is, in my opinion, I think he's a bigger overall star. A lot of that, I think, is the podcast with his brother. Their personalities are so infectious, are so interesting. My wife gets on YouTube, doesn't watch it live, but she watches the podcast. Yeah. It comes up, I'll come home from work. Did you hear what Travis and his brother said? They were talking with Kylie, the wife, about blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, gosh. I mean, it's really remarkable. So when he does talk, Jared, there is so much to talk to him about. Maybe the most interesting question of the day came from the Kansas City Star photographer who was in the back of the room, Helen, who asked the question, I saw you on YouTube or on Instagram or something with Taylor cooking. What were you cooking? What do you guys like to cook? And so Travis is like playing it real cool, like, well, I really like cooking with her, but I don't. That's kind of private. I don't really want to get into that. And then as he's walking off, he goes, hey, by the way, she makes great Pop-Tarts and cinnamon rolls, and walks out. That's news. And then, of course, he talks about possibly his life after football, talks about the possibility of he's been doing stuff in front of cameras this offseason. This offseason, he's been doing stuff. He said, keep your eye out for that. That'll be coming out because he's talked about the fact he wants to play as long as he can, but he understands you're one catastrophic injury away from wrapping up your season, right. your career, and so he's trying to make plans for life after football, and I'll bet it is something involving holding a microphone and talking about football.
Right. Yeah, and so for those that haven't seen the video that Neal just referenced there, I tweeted it around 1:30 today. It's already at 61,000 views. That goes to Neal's point about how much people are eating up this Travis Kelce content. And it's literally him very politely. He initially, as you said, kind of said, you know what, I want to keep that personal. I don't, because I enjoy doing that and I don't want to, let people in too much. And then at the end he said, you know what, I will give her a shout out for the Pop-Tarts and cinnamon rolls. I don't know if that's connected or I don't know what that necessarily means, but here, Taylor, if you're watching this, everybody's a fan of New Heights. Maybe Taylor and Travis are a fan of KC Sports Tonight. I don't know. If you can hook Neal and I up with some Pop-Tarts and cinnamon rolls, it comes with great reviews, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm told by our news anchor, Zach and Sharon, they started making fun of me because I'm like, yeah, I can heat up Pop-Tarts. And they explained to me there's a difference in making Pop-Tarts from scratch, which I didn't know anybody did, and eating it like I eat it. And I used to, look, when you're a dad, you learn what will they eat and how long will it take me to make? And can I make it during a timeout of a football game or a baseball game or something? And so you run in and put them in and come out, hey guys, Dad made Pop-Tarts, and you're a hero until your wife comes home and says, that's all you gave them was Pop-Tarts and orange juice, so.
Oh. It's a wonder your children turned out so great at such esteemed universities, despite their father figure there. No, it's one no, I didn't know.
They didn't know. They didn't go to good schools. They went to KU and MU. So I don't know.
Okay, well, I'll let you dog. Yeah, I'll let you dog the local fan base. I, as someone who grew up as a KU fan and then went to the University of Missouri, I will have no part in that slander whatsoever. But I also do want to again let the record show, Neal. I think you're right. It's a generational thing to say that Travis Kelce is currently single. If that would have gotten clipped or posted anywhere on the web, people would lose their minds. So if you're mad at Neal for calling Travis single just because he's only been dating Taylor for 11 months, let the record show I disagree. I do not think Travis is single. Don't at me. Thank you.
I think she's single too. That does not mean that it wouldn't be a big story if they were seen out in public with someone other than the other person and they were making out in Istanbul or something. But the fact is, in my mind, until you're married, you're single. I've had this discussion with a bunch of our reporters, both male and female, and saying, look, dude, until the ring is on your finger and you say I do, you're not married. Trust me. I went to law school. I know the difference. And there is a difference in the eyes of the law.
Yeah, well, hey, you know what? That's fair. Agree to disagree. But listen, let's get in. Folks, you've been watching KSD5 long enough. Neal and I have done a lot of talking. You know, we can kind of get off on a... Listen, it's not long ago, Neal threw out the question, what if Taylor Swift started dating Bo Nix, Broncos quarterback? So, you know, we can kind of go down some roads that aren't the best roads. Let's at least mention probably what most Chiefs fans care the most about, and that's Travis's football future, in that he said, yes, he acknowledges there's a life after football that he's very much interested in, but he wants to continue to make it clear his priority, his focus, his attention is on being the best football player he can be for the Kansas City Chiefs this season and until, quote, the wheels fall off. Neal.
There's one thing that worries me when I look at Travis Kelce's success off the field and you see him continue to have success on the field. I think as long as the Chiefs continue to win Super Bowls and he remains healthy, okay? And when we say healthy, we don't mean healthy like all of us, because football players are not 100% healthy. They get hit and they limp around during the week and they're sore. And that's why they have cold tubs and hot tubs over there at the practice facility and over here at Arrowhead Stadium, because football players get beat up, especially when you play a long season like they did this year. They didn't get a bye week. They had to play all those games, 17 regular season games, then 4 postseason games, and in all sorts of weather, right? So, but as long as he stays capable of being able to play, I think he will play. What worries me, we did the Marcus Allen show on KCTV5. Marcus Allen, I am convinced, left. He could have played another year or two at a high level at running back, a position that nobody ever plays a long career. He could still play. He had the brains. He knew how to play football. He knew how to avoid contact. What happened was CBS came after him with so much money to put him on the CBS NFL Today show, the main show on the main stage in New York City, that he looked at it and said, "They're offering me a lot of money. I got to take it." And when he was doing that, he was still coming back to Kansas City, and he was still living here. He was still doing the Marcus Allen show on Channel 5 that first year after he retired. And then CBS, a couple of years later, does what television networks do. They go for the flavor of the month. And somebody else who came out who wasn't as big a name as Marcus, but he was younger and had been in the public spotlight a little bit more. And so Marcus gets pushed down to a lesser role. He would have never gone, I think, to CBS had he known that it wasn't going to be. I think he was thinking it would be a 20-year run on network, and that he would make a lot of money and have a great vehicle and a great opportunity to work with a lot of great people up in New York City with CBS. But so he leaves. Remember, his last season in 1997, the Chiefs went 13-3. They had the number 1 seed in the AFC. I mean, that was a team. They were really good, and his departure was one of the problems that they had after he left. And that's what's worried me, is that as Travis Kelce becomes a bigger and bigger and bigger star off the field, that some network or somebody is going to throw something at him that is so big that he's going to say, "Look, my first chance to bail, I'm going to bail." If the Chiefs don't go to, I'm not saying he would, you know what I'm saying? You have to make decisions for the long term, and so that's what worries me.
But I think the bigger star he becomes, it's almost to the point where he knows that's waiting for him whenever he does retire. It's not a rush to where, oh, if I don't take this opportunity now, maybe I won't. It's similar to Tom Brady in the sense that, and the Greg Olson, as far as a commentator on another national network, Brady was able to, take a year off and know that the job would still be there for him when he was waiting. I don't know. Travis Kelce is different than Tom Brady, but listen, depending on how his fandom continues to go off the field, I don't know if there's a huge rush if he's still playing at a high level, Neil. I think it comes down to more of when the wheels fall off. I don't think you're going to see a Travis Kelce playing out a couple of years not at a high level. I think when he loses the next couple steps, then, or if he has a lot of injuries. But even to that point, you saw Rob Gronkowski his last couple of years, didn't play a whole lot during the regular season, but he turned it on in the postseason. I think you could see a similar thing for Travis Kelce down the line to where, okay, maybe he's not getting 1,000 yards every year, but he's there in the most important games. But the good news is, Neil, I think we're still down the road. I don't think that's the Travis Kelce we're going to get this year. He's still arguably should have been a 1,000-yard receiver last year if he played that last week, came very close, and he was phenomenal in postseason. So I really don't think, hearing his comments, watching his play, that we have to worry about an imminent Travis Kelce retirement, regardless of what money is being thrown at him across the country.
I'm kind of curious how his brother's career will go now that he's not playing. Obviously, he got a network deal, and I wonder if the podcast, will it be as strong as it was last year and the year before last when both of them playing on great teams. I mean, remember, the Eagles were considered the best team in the NFL after they came in here, beat the Chiefs week 6 or 7, whenever it was. So the Eagles have been great. Jason Kelce, highly respected. Obviously, those two have a chemistry. That's not going to change. But will the perception change? If, especially what happens if the Chiefs have a bad season,
Yeah, well, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But no, I mean, you're right. You make a good point. But it's also, if they have that outlet to give their opinions, with that podcast and still play, maybe they're less incentivized to go also for Travis to go also give his opinion somewhere else. Obviously, they would make more money, but if you're already making a ton of money with the podcast, and again, if the relationship is strong with someone who is one of the richest people on the globe right now, Travis Kelce may not have to make decisions based on money, which is a good place to be in. It's why the quote he says today, just for those, again, that haven't seen it, he said, quote, "Kansas City's been home for me the past 11 years. I'm reminded that every single time I come back into the city. I take the offseason to recharge, get away, but at the same time, I'm a football player. I love playing. This will always be my main focus. Here and now, I think anyone who questions Travis Kelce's commitment to Kansas City or to football right now is foolish." All right, Neil. The team is more than just number 87. Sometimes it doesn't seem that way, and it's deserved that he gets the headlines. But let's mention the rest of the team did practice today. Mandatory minicamp. We saw Kadarius Toney out there, McCole Hardman, Hollywood Brown. A rookie wide receiver, Xavier Worthy, was there but did not practice. Continues to nurse that injured hamstring. He's missing some time that you'd like to see him get the reps. But overall, a good practice from what limited we saw. And then Isaiah Pacheco also talked today. Drew Tranquil talked today. Your impressions on the rest of the comings out of Chiefs Kingdom today?
Isaiah Pacheco said something that was really interesting. Last year he had surgery in the offseason and he wasn't able to take part in OTAs. And OTAs are voluntary workouts. They are not nearly as long or as orchestrated as what goes on during the minicamp that they're in right now. The minicamp is like a practice without hitting. Okay? So, but the OTAs are pretty, they are like polishing, about learning where you go and coaching the rookies on, that right hand's got to be here. Your left hand has got to be there. It is really minutia, getting down and teaching them the plays, teaching them the intricacies of playing football, because this is when you can do it. Pacheco he said, if you really want to get better as a football player, you've got to do it during OTAs. That's the time you can really get a lot done. And immediately what flashed to my mind was Xavier Worthy. Yeah. Because since the rookie minicamp, we see him on the field and he's walking around and he's not limping, but he's got that tender hamstring. And I do think it is really, really going to affect him, because remember, rookies got to learn the offensive playbook, but they also have to learn how to read defenses so that they read the same thing that Patrick Mahomes reads so that they run the correct route. I'm supposed to break it out, or I'm supposed to break it in, I'm supposed to curl it, or I'm supposed to fly, whatever the options, and there are a bunch of options in Andy Reid's offense for quarterbacks and for receivers and running backs to use. Well, how do you run the option and get the correct thing unless you're doing it? And he can't. He's watching all the film. He's working hard, they say, at picking it up. But he's the guy. Guys like that are what worry me this time of year, because it's so hard for rookie wide receivers to have a real impact. They did a great job of integrating Rashee Rice last year and stair-stepping him. They made it easy early on. Stuff he didn't have to read very much. You're going to run this route no matter what, and if you're open, we're going to throw it to you. But then they stair-stepped it, and by the end of the year, he was able to run the full offense. At least that's what we were told after the Super Bowl game. Patrick Mahomes talked about the fact that, Rashee's there. He's there now. He's no longer a rookie. He's a vet. But it takes a while to get there, and I do think that there's a possibility that Xavier Worthy's progress might be held up a little bit because of the injury.
Yeah, and I said this after the draft. The need is there for wide receiver improvement, but I continue to keep expectations in check for Xavier Worthy just because of how hard it is for a rookie wide receiver. I think what we saw last year out of Rashee Rice was more of the exception than the norm, and even for that, a lot of his production came just because they needed him. They didn't have any really other options. I think now when you have Rashee Rice in the second year, you have Hollywood Brown, and then you have whatever you get out of everyone else, there's not as much opportunity or pressure on Xavier Worthy, and that doesn't mean that the pick is a failure if he comes out and doesn't have 900 yards. The good news is that he has experience reading college defenses at least. It's not like someone that hasn't played a lot of football, or at least big stage football. The problem is the defenses he read were like the Oklahoma Sooner defense, which left a lot to be desired. He ain't going up against Boomer Sooner in the NFL, so it's definitely a learning curve, Neal.
No question about it. Yeah, the college game, Oklahoma, Texas, they're a bunch of five-star athletes on that field, four-star athletes, the top high school athletes. Texas has them, Oklahoma has them, Alabama had them. He played up against Alabama 2 different times in his career the last 2 seasons. So it's not like he hasn't played against guys who will be in the league, but you're right. The NFL is a different animal. They spend their entire offseason, every defensive coordinator spends all of his offseason, especially the guys in the AFC West, looking at Andy Reid's offense and figuring out what are we going to do to slow them down when we play them in week 4 and then again in week 9. What are we going to do? What have we done in the past? What have other teams done that have given them problems? How did the Lions beat them? What was their recipe? They're going to look at all that stuff, and one of the things they try to do is to mix up the wide receivers and the tight ends so that they read man, and it's not man, it's a too deep zone, and now they're running the wrong route, and Patrick Mahomes is running around like he's lost, where is everybody?
Then you get yelled at on the sideline by coaches and players. It's a tough learning curve, but there's still time left. There's still, maybe he gets out here Wednesday, Thursday. That'd be a great development. I don't think so. Then there is training camp. There's still plenty of time before the season actually kicks off. If you want to see some footage of practice, you can go to KST5.com or my Twitter page. We tweeted out some footage of the guys running around in shorts, which includes Kadarius Toney dropping a football. So if that is something that you're interested in, congratulations. That is out there if you'd like. All right, Neal, let's get on to the next topic. And that is that, hey, it's the soccer capital of America. And so tonight we have the United States men's national team under 23-year-olds. That is who plays in the Olympics, and they are here in town tonight in Kansas City, Kansas. 7 o'clock at Children's Mercy Park in Kansas City, Kansas. The United States of America versus Japan. Once again, another cool opportunity for Kansas City to show why we are the soccer capital of America, Neal.
Oh, no doubt about it. It's always great to see a team that any squad that has USA across their chest, whether it's the men's national team, the Rockstar women's national team, even the youth squads. It is fun. And I'm disappointed, though, when I heard earlier that from Scott Reese that Gianluca Buzio, of course, who played, went to high school here in Kansas City, grew up elsewhere, but from North Carolina, but came here, got into the sporting developmental program, went to high school here, got to play with Sporting. You could tell right away he was a guy that had a good future. And then so he moved over to Italy where he has a bunch of family members. So because he wanted a taste of playing internationally, so he left Kansas City. I was really excited about seeing him, and I understand he won't play tonight because of an injury. Hopefully it's nothing that will keep him out of the Olympics, because he's fighting to be one of the 18 guys who makes that roster. How exciting would it be for a guy like that we saw when he was 17, 18 years old, putting on the USA uniform in Paris this summer? That would be awfully exciting.
Well, and even for the World Cup down the line, I mean, he's got a shot to be, on the 2026 team that's in, North America. Listen, Sporting Kansas City could really use him right now. They were a different team when he was on the team offensively. That's the last time they were really killing it for the entire regular season, is in part because of Busio, who's gone on to have great success in Europe, his team earning promotion recently. So, hey, but even without Busio, it's still pretty cool, and you get a lot of fans from across the country in Kansas City tonight as well. Also in Kansas City tonight, because, listen, we're the sports capital. Heck with soccer. We're the soccer capital of America, and we're the sports capital of America, because we got two of the best teams in the American League squaring off on the diamond. Neal, the Kansas City Royals and the New York Yankees. Let's get to the Evil Empire in a couple minutes, but first I want to mention the news of the day that Hunter Renfroe has a broken big toe, because it hurts when you foul a foul ball off your toe. He's on the 10-day injured list. Adam Frazier on the bereavement list, so that means there are two new hitters in the Royals clubhouse today, in Drew Waters and Nick Pratto. Neal, I was behind you a little bit about an hour and a half ago in the Royals clubhouse. I talked with Drew Waters and Nick Pratto. I think the cool thing, obviously they're excited, and they know that when you're in AAA, you never know how long you're going to be in the big leagues, so they're excited. But specifically, they're excited to join this team because they played in the majors the last 2 years for a team that wasn't very good. And to now join a team that has a lot of energy, a lot of excitement, they are grateful for this opportunity to join a winning team, Neal.
No doubt about it. I mean, for the guys who went through that wretched season 2 years ago, and then the wretched season they had this year, they deserve an opportunity to play with better players like the Royals have brought in. And this team has really, even the games they've lost, with the exception of a couple of them, it's like it doesn't matter how big the deficit is, they're going to make a game of it. You would like it if they didn't fall behind, but the fact of the matter is they are a team that does not give up, and they've given us so many thrills. They've given us more thrills so far this season, in my mind, than we got for the last 3 years. I really believe that. I really believe this has been a special group.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say that. More relevant thrills, I would say. There's been a lot of great moments the last couple of years, individual game moments, individual player moments. Salvador Perez leading all of baseball in home runs and RBIs, but it came on a team that lost 88 games. And so for a team that's actually relevant in the baseball world and relevant in captivating the Kansas City sports fandom, I think you're right in that it's been an exciting team to watch, and that's where it is going to continue to be interesting to follow the evolution of this ball club as they take on water. Michael Massey hit the injured list late May, and so then Nick Lofton and Adam Frazier stepped up. Michael Walker broke his foot the other day, so now Daniel Lynch came up, Chris Bubich is coming up, other guys are having to fill up there. Okay, now Hunter Renfroe, and to a lesser degree Adam Frazier. This happens in baseball. The Royals weren't going to have the same group of guys for the entire year, but this is now where they get tested. How can they respond when they aren't at their 100% best? And that's where the depth comes in, and they're going to count on other guys to continue playing at the level they are, like Bobby Witt Jr., like Salvador Perez. But it also means more opportunities. Nick Lofton likely to get more playing time now. Drew Waters, he's in the starting lineup tonight here on Tuesday, Neal. This is an opportunity for him. As we continue to judge this team, the evaluation continues even after this great start.
No doubt about it. For me, though, Jared, I think you would admit that while there might have been some individual moments that stick out to fans like yourself, the bottom line is this team think how many games they came from nowhere to make it a game, or came from nowhere to win the game, like they did on Friday night. Or was it? Yeah, it was Friday night when they got behind by 7 runs, give up 7 runs in the first, get down by 8, and make it all up and end up beating the Mariners.
Yeah.
I mean, this team has got something. I think they have a belief in themselves, and I think they believe in their manager, which is not something I'm sure you could say about the guy who was in the dugout the 3 years before that. No, that's not fair. Well, I mean, it is what it is. They were the worst team in baseball in April, like 3 years in a row. And how much of that was lack of talent and how much of that was the ability to manage, I don't know.
Well,
but,
in 2021,
it was very difficult to watch.
In 2021, with Mike Matheny as the manager, they had the best record in baseball after April. Then they did not the next year, and he was fired. And then Matt Quatraro last year, they didn't get off to a good start. I think you're right to a degree, but I also don't think the reason this team did not work in those years was because of Mike Matheny. I think it goes deeper than that, and I think also in baseball, we're starting to see more and more about the duties and the impact of a manager changing, and I think we got to give credit to these players as well, because yes, there's improvement under this new manager, but that's also the growth process. Bobby Witt Jr. played under Mike Matheny, but that was his rookie year. Now, as he continues to know the league more, he continues to take another step forward. Same as Salvador Perez, reinventing himself. I think you absolutely give credit to Matt Quatraro, but I don't think it's just because Q and the Rays staff came in here and said, hey, this is what you got to do. You got to give credit to the players for putting in the work on actually improving and making the changes, and not being content with where they are.
Well, there's no question that managers fill out the lineup card, and then they for the most part, manage pretty much the same way. They all pretty much manage the same way. They've got to figure out who are my available pitchers tonight in the bullpen. How many innings can this starting pitcher go if he's really got his stuff? You've got to handle stuff, and you got to know how to handle guys and get them days off. So I'm not trying to suggest somehow that it was all the manager, but I think it's interesting that he hasn't been hired by anybody else, and he was fired by a pretty good organization in the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. I remember being on vacation, I think 2 summers ago, and we were in Ireland, and I see a guy. I was wearing a Kansas City Royals thing or something. A guy, we were in Western Ireland. This guy goes, "Oh, we're from St. Louis. We're Cardinals fans. How do you like our old manager now?" And walked off. And I'm sitting there, because the Royals weren't very good.
Yeah.
But you have to agree, some managers have it, and some managers don't have it. Who knows what that is? But because it certainly helps if you've got a starting staff that's 5 deep and they can get you into the fifth the fifth inning successfully. Every manager's smarter, but you would admit that Ned Yost knew what buttons to push and was special. I don't think that team wins in 2014 and 15, wins the American League and then wins the World Series in 15 with somebody with just a guy on the bench. I think it took somebody who understood.
Yeah, no, go ahead and finish. Sorry, Neal.
It just takes somebody who understands what he has and how to handle. We don't have one rule for everybody. We got 26 players. I got 26 rules because different people need different things. I don't need to be coddled. Jared, you do need to be coddled.
I do need
clearly,
to be coddled, yeah.
So that's how you manage.
Yeah, and for those listening or watching live, there's a little bit of delay. That's where I'm trying not to step too much on Neal's shows. In person, I can just start talking over him, but here I feel bad. No, you're right. And I mean, but listen, I did not think today on June 11th, 2024 that I'd be defending Mike Matheny, but here we are. But listen, I also think managers, they're geniuses when you're winning, they're idiots when they're losing. Ned Yost in the wild card game brought in Yordan Ventura out of the bullpen, and he immediately gave up a 3-run home run. And if they go on to without some miraculousness out of Eric Hosmer, Salvador Perez, how different do we think of Ned Yost today? It's very razor thin, and I personally don't think Mike Matheny did a great job managing the clubhouse. I also don't think he was given a roster that he could have done a whole lot with. And for the Cardinals, he also did a lot of winning. He took them to the NLCS. I am glad Mike Matheny is no longer the manager of the Kansas City Royals. I think Matt Quatraro is the manager for the job. But you know what? This is all part of the conversation around baseball, and it's good to have meaningful conversations about the Kansas City Royals. Even if we're talking about 2014 or people yelling at Neal in Ireland, or Bo Nix, or is Taylor Swift single? These are the topics you get when Jared Koller and Neal Jones share a TV screen together. For more of this, you can check us every Monday through Friday at 5:30, and And Saturday, Sunday night at 10:30. It's 6 o'clock, Neal. They're saying wrap, so I say good stuff. We'll see you tomorrow.